Welcome to Hogwarts. Hello, hi. Dave here. We're back. What is this? Episode 112 of the Post Show. Welcome to the Part-Time Otaku Podcast. If you haven't heard us before, we talk about anime and also other things. This is a pretty anime-heavy episode, but also lots of live action on the back half, so stay tuned. What do we cover this week? Ninja Kamui, that pilot for that anime that just came out. It's a real pain to track down, but Grant's got you covered on that. We do solo leveling episode 6, Shangri-La Frontier. I took Grant's recommendation a little late, but I did eventually get into it. And then, of course, that connects us naturally to Harry Potter, and I go on a rage-induced tangent about David Yates. Then we do Frieren, episode 22, and then we have a long and spirited discussion on the state of True Detective and its genesis, the franchise as a whole, before ending on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the Amazon Prime series, and Grant gives us a little sneak peek on a Studio Bones documentary. Altogether a fun episode. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. Oh, hey there, Grant.
Hey, David.
We were just talking about Super Bowl commercials and how we had both seen the House of the Dragon trailer.
Definitely awakened more interest in Game of Thrones for me. I'm excited. It was a good trailer, honestly.
Yeah.
Usually I turn away, but I just couldn't look away.
In a very uncharacteristic move, I was at a Super Bowl party for that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's the one game I watched in the last calendar year. And I don't know if you watched it.
I did, yeah.
I did not like it. Man, I don't like football at all.
No, I like football. I will say, like, I don't think I watched a single game this year. Mm-hmm. I caught the big qualifying one for like the Baltimore and Kansas City. There, I watched some of that. I was buying dog food, and the teenager working the cash getting the game on his phone.
That's funny.
I stayed in the store for like 5 minutes and watched it, but yeah, no, I normally do. I catch a couple games here. Like I like the Bills. Like I've always liked the Bills. So, but yeah, I don't know. But it was boring. Very boring game. Couple really awesome plays, obviously. But
yeah, that was a tough game. But you know what was interesting to me is that like it was a relatively good sample size of people at the Super Bowl party, and as soon as that
house or bar
house.
Okay.
And as soon as the House of the Dragon episode or trailer came on, you know, that's like this is why you do Super Bowl ads, right? It incites conversation. Yeah. Everyone around. Oh, did you see the first season? And it's so interesting to just like watch it ripple throughout the party because it's like, oh, I loved it.
To my podcast.
Well, no, not even. I was just curious. It's always just interesting to like see where people are and like, oh my god, because it's funny. You can watch like 5 side conversations take place of just like, oh my god, what a strong season. I really hope it doesn't go the way of Game of Thrones. Like you just hear people going like, oh, I really hope the ending's good, or I hope that season 2 is as good as season 1 because everyone's just has so much Game of Thrones trauma.
It's fun. It's fun when a show can just like everyone becomes like a reviewer, right? Like you know, it doesn't matter. Like you said, like just so many different groups all together. But yeah, no, I don't know. It was a good trailer. I liked House of the Dragon. I thought
I did too. The main character, because they I don't think it's split in half, but because they age up the cast, right?
Yeah,
or like parts of the cast, which is interesting. But the young girl who played Rhaenyra, the blonde,
Millie Alcock, actually, yeah, she's in the news recently. Funny enough,
because she got cast in what is it? She's Supergirl.
She's gonna be Supergirl
for James Gunn.
James Gunn in the Superman movie.
Okay, so. Okay, that was my next question. For her. That was my next question. Is like, is she Supergirl in some random like Warner Brothers TV CW show, or is it like?
No, this is big screen.
So it's so it's in the next premiere Superman movie. That is a big get.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
because I've seen her in this or in like House of Dragon. That's it, right? Like so.
Same here.
It's quite a jump.
That is a big jump, but she did a really good job.
Yes, she was good.
That first chunk of the season. Anything else stick out from the Super Bowl? Like I mean, even just ad wise or
Ad-wise? No,
really
we,
big
in
projects?
Canada, we don't get all that much, depending on how you watched it. You were watching yours through a VPN, getting all the American versions, or?
No, we were watching it through DAZN, but and so I figured it would be American ads, but I guess they saw that the location was in Canada. But even like outside of actually watching it live, like there are usually like a number of
I've
number of ads that go big online.
The Paramount one that you had sent to our group chat.
What one? What Paramount one?
There's like the Hey Arnold, like, and then Patrick Stewart was in it. It was like a bunch of like Paramount branded stuff, and it was like like a very metaverse thing.
Yeah,
but I think that's the only like major American one that I saw. See how Paramount like fired a bunch of people today?
Yeah, there's also just some interesting stuff going on. Like I think I sent you that thing maybe last week, like ESPN, Formula One. There's a sports streaming service coming. NBA, MLB, like UFC, literally everything. Like a go-to. They're all joining forces to form an unholy alliance.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I think the NHL signed a deal with Netflix for 2025 streaming games through the platform, I believe.
Very interesting.
It might not be the NHL. I'm pretty sure it's the NHL, but that's a huge deal. Like, people are like jumping off these hoops anyway. Like, actually, the funny thing, like, to get the game to work was, this might be actually a really good kind of segue to Ninja Kamui. Did you check that out?
No, dude, I had no method of checking it out.
It took me 30 minutes to finally get it running today. And
so where did you end up watching it?
So I had to, like, through my internet provider, I have like a digital TV service or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was given 5 like a la carte channels. Like, I've never used it. I have it for HBO, like the easy way to watch HBO stuff.
Yeah. I
just swapped out one of my channels, a la carte, for Adult Swim.
Oh, yes, you told me that. Yeah.
And then I was able to get it. But dude, ads now on demand. There never used to be ads. It broke my mind trying to watch this anime, and it cuts to like a Subway commercial. I wanted to like beat my ass.
That's absurd.
It's awful. Dave, I will say though, you should probably watch that.
The Ninja Kamui one?
Yeah. It's the director from season 1 and the movie of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, yes. Because
it feels like it.
There was like news about that, right? Like the director from season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man had like left and are doing their own thing. Yeah. So this must be the Jujutsu Kaisen guys show.
Unreal. It's very like it's as I was watching it, like I knew like that had happened, but I never associated the show with him that being him.
Yeah.
And literally the first like anime like flip scene, like a spinning attack, and I was like, oh my god, that looks like Gojo. It was like a move that he did. Like, that's very, and then I finished it, and I did my research. I'm like, oh duh. Like,
yeah.
I will say, Dave, probably the highest production value I've seen in a little while.
It's good they put it on Adult Swim where everyone can watch.
Well, yeah, that is it does kind of suck, but like not everything can come to Crunchyroll. Unfortunately.
No, I know.
I do believe
it's so
this is like
irritating.
an Adult Swim project, though, right? It's not like they bought the rights to it. Like they helped animate it. Like this is their in-house thing. But
yeah,
very annoying. Very, very annoying to get.
I'll figure out a way to watch it. But it's just it's one of those funny things, right? It's like we have this conversation all the time. It's like when you tell someone you have a podcast, it's like, oh, what should you watch? It's like, God forbid I want to recommend this show to somebody. It's like, okay, well, what you're going to need to do is start by going back in time and getting to cable. And then you get it for free, so you're different. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like...
Well, not free, but it's like, yeah.
Just unreal. But I'll find a way to get it. But I wanted to, before I ask you more about it, one clarifying point that I need to correct myself. So it's ESPN is doing a deal with... it'd be Fox, ESPN, like NBC, and it would have everything on the ESPN networks, MLB, NBA, NHL, NFL, college basketball, football, UFC, boxing, Formula One. It would have FS1, TBS, TNT, CBS, NBC.
For a monthly price of $79.99.
It's got to be a lot. But you've seen what these people pay for, like...
Yeah.
These people. I'm thinking of sports fans. I have friends that are way into basketball.
Yeah.
And like their season passes are $200 to watch the game.
Through work, I have every now and then I kind of if it actually makes sense with football, but like come football season, people going a little bananas about like their NFL red ticket or Sunday ticket, like not being ready to go, like like it's you do a call there and you're like, buddy, this is all back end stuff, like we'll get it for you, but like we have to watch it on CTV, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think I said this last week. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but like even just being in Texas briefly, it's like just interesting watching Americans interact with each other. But like, oh, I'm from this place, you're from that place, so go Bills. No, go fucking Bears. It's like, what? Yeah. It's just like the way they greet each other is often, who's your team? Sure. Oh, I know that area. It's like,
I will say,
football is just so fucking big.
It's like that here too, though. But like, we're just not those people. Like, we don't fit into that subculture.
But I mean, Grant, I'm like 6 out of 10 people. Like, it was absurd.
Well,
I don't have that. I have not been.
We have a very unique thing where we live. We're in like this trifecta of the Senators, the Leafs, and the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
And it's just a perfect, like, you're either one of those 3 teams, and it's usually one of the first thing brought up. Like when you talk to a man, you're like, oh, I'm a dweeb. I don't. I don't. I watch anime. I have an anime podcast. So
yeah, it's just weird. It's just
the
football culture it's a lot. So I take it you're gonna watch Ninja Kamui weekly.
Oh, 100%, dude. Yeah. It's incredible. It's our guy there, Kenjiro Suda, is the voice actor. Nanami is the main voice actor
of the. I don't think he's the protagonist.
He's the protagonist. I don't think I've ever seen him in like a leading role.
They should have led with that. I would have signed up.
But yeah, no, it's good. It's funny because I think you can probably tell from the marketing, but it is clearly heavily inspired by John Wick. And in the first episode, there's actually like a couple like, oh, they just straight up borrowed that from John Wick. Like I think kind of set the tone of what it is, but I don't know. It's cool. Like it has a very interesting blend of like neo-future, but it feels like kind of modern at the same time. Like there's a like the opening scene like clearly takes place in what looks like a standard New York City, right? Like kind of Gotham, like a little dark and grimy. And then, after the first set piece, it kind of cuts to, we're in like a rural America kind of thing. Yeah. And then you see like these like, these like these grain silos with like, LED lighting. And there's like, how like you see in like in a dystopian show, like kind of like overseas, you kind of see like the power lines are just like running everywhere and it's all connected in like one web. They kind of have that thing going between all these pillars and it feels like very, very futuristic.
Cyberpunky almost.
Very, but like almost like a time period where they're about to step into that genre.
Right.
Like, technology hasn't fully become that. Early stages. And then, I don't know, it's just not a lot of talking, like just a lot of action. Like, the actions are...
Is that my alley?
Yeah. Like, it is very, like, they definitely withhold a lot intentionally in this first episode. It kind of just like shotgun blast of like information, like figure it out yourself. Like sure. Again, you're not really, I think this is like a revenge story. Again, that's the John Wickness of it, I think. And they kind of not a silent protagonist, obviously, because you have his voice. It'd be such a miss, like
white character
that he doesn't speak all that much. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably. There was just a couple kills. It was like, oh, whoa, okay, that's real violence. Like they're really showing it. And then just great, like the flow of act. There's a scene like the opening set piece that completely caught me off guard. I'm gonna remember it forever because I don't think I've ever seen that. Someone's essentially like kind of grappled and they're pulled like at different heights and angles, and the way the camera follows them going was like Hollywood. Like yeah, it was really, really cool. I think you'll get a huge kick out of it. But,
there's something. I mean, this is gonna sound obvious when I say it, but there's something like so much more visceral about like animation gore. You know what I mean? Like when you see action or like certain fight sequences where people are getting fucking limbs chopped off and shit. Like when anime does it right, like God, dude, I'm thinking of like some of those really disturbing scenes from Akira. Towards the end, like they can really kind of get in your brain It made me think of, and it's not quite on this level, but did you see Solo Leveling this week?
I did, of course, yeah.
Episode 6, I think.
Yeah.
There's your spoiler warning, but like we got like decapitations in this episode.
There's the there's like the when like the kind of like the big dark moment of the episode, and he's kind of again spoiler, but massacring. He has to get the quest, he has to kill the guys and save himself and all that. Which I'd love to get into that, but there's the shot of like him kind of just like doing like a quick like up and out, like just, and I was like, oh whoa, like I don't think I've seen that before.
They've got you can tell. You can tell that they want to make this show like pretty Sakuga or Sakuga oriented. Like they're trying for sure with these.
I haven't felt it yet though. Nothing is like set in.
I would agree that they have not blown me away, but like you could tell that like they're like, okay, the action needs to be like kind of front and center with this show. It's never been bad.
No,
I would say it's been
the highlight's
steadily
been
good.
the snake boss fight so far in the previous
Somewhere in
episode.
there, yeah. I would agree with that, I think.
But the spider fight was good. It was okay. But yeah, I don't know. It's violent, super violent.
And you had mentioned last week, like it is the same voice actor, right? Because like they changed his voice, like
he's just like doing
dropped an octave, and grew a foot, dropped an octave, and is ripped now. But he like. The yelling that he did, very Aaron-like this episode, because he's taking human life and stuff, and there's all this, like, guy's got range, blew out his lungs this episode. I appreciated that.
It's interesting too because it's funny because we're seeing so many vocal changes in him. We have like the original, how he sounded at first, and then obviously like the leveling, and like you were joking, like the octave down.
Yeah.
And then, like, when he has, like, this moment where he just kind of, like, rolls into, like, the darkness of, like, fuck it, like, you want me to be this way? I'm gonna be this way. And then, like, it changes again. You're just like, whoa, holy cow, dude. Like, I have so much respect for vocal performances. Like, I think the Solo Leveling, it's weird that that's, like, the biggest highlight of the show so far is the voice acting from the main character.
Yeah, that and, okay, well, let's talk about this. So, I was interested by this, like, by the game telling him to like to ice those dudes that were coming to him. I imagine we're gonna get questions answered in the fullness of time about like how does this shit work. But it's interesting to me. Like I don't know if you've been spoiled on this. I have no information. But do you think the game can force him to do shit he doesn't want to do? Like in this instance, the game more or less told him like save yourself or your heart will stop. Like, but it was kind of like. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, do this or else, but like, the thing I'm telling you to do is also in your best interest.
I think I took it almost as like he signed a contract, right? Like I almost wonder, and again, I have no spoilers.
And his like quote this death in the like
this is just
on.
like my headcanon, I guess, is what if this whole gaming thing is a guy's, like he did sign a contract with hypothetically with like a planar being or a devil or a demon or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just being trauma masked,
sure.
for this, right? And maybe that is what the game or the sentience wants from him, or if it's literally just like, hey, like you chose, this is like the deal, like this is the game it's creating, right? Like I don't know. It's I have thought about it a lot because. Or is it just a defense mechanism? Like he has a purpose for something more. Like like we don't know if there's like ulterior motives for him being given a second chance versus like
I think
be malicious or survive.
Yeah, I think the game is quote real and not in his head because he's able to pull physical objects out of it. Like he has literal inventory that he has access to.
I still wouldn't consider that. Like if I could see that like it being like a very like a. Like if it is a trick or if it is like, like, and I'm not saying it is, like, it's probably real, but like.
But you're saying they could animeism their way out of that through just like anime logic? Yeah.
Not even, I think fantasy rules, like, possession rules, like, his brain has now been like placed in their hands, right? Like they can do what they want with what he sees and visualizes and, it could just be like an astral pocket he's putting into. Like the world is a fantasy world, right? Right. First, before we have like this new age game, life mechanic kind of thing, so.
I mean, it would line up if like maybe that, what was it, episode 2, when all of his friends were killed and he was sort of killed by that smiling statue thing, like
iconic shot. So
it would be pretty straightforward if like that creature or whatever that thing was behind all this, or something from that gate, because he got the prompt to accept those terms at his death at the end of that episode, right? So like saying that those things are linked is probably not a crazy assumption. Anyway, it's interesting. It did, the whole way this has like followed like the RPG trajectory of like stat points, leveling up, objectives, did like awaken something in me that I did not know was there. I was like, oh, this is like scratching an itch I didn't know I had. So then when you recommended Shangri-La Frontier, I was like, okay, I'll give this another shot. I think that I tried the first 5 minutes of it, probably when it came out, maybe.
Okay.
Well, I think you had said it's good. And I think I didn't get past the intro. I was like, because the intro was him beating that trash game that like and I was just like, I'm out, like it's just not for me, and that's fine, right? Like a miss is a miss, not a big deal. But then you had mentioned it again because I was really enjoying solo leveling, so I'm like 7 episodes in now.
Oh dude, right now it's today was actually, this week, episode 18 was a huge like end of arc episode, and I'm not going to touch it, I'm not going to go there, but the animation, you can, like, again, you're 7 episodes in, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's never not great.
Is it 18 episodes overall?
No, it's a 24 episode run, so we still have 6
so
left.
is it split into 2 cores? Is that why?
Yeah, the second core started maybe about 6 episodes ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of nice binging something, I gotta be honest. Like,
oh, dude, yeah.
Just being like, fuck it, I'll throw it on. I had a great weekend. I had some downtime. It's like I got 40 minutes to kill. I'm gonna throw one of these in.
It is. Like, this is gonna sound like, to me, it sounds like a huge compliment, because like you and I are big proponents of like a 7 is good. Like Revenger, like this Recoil, like they'll show like an okay show. Is more than enough. The show is an 8. Like I think it just does that much more. Again, the animation, like 7 episodes in, there's probably been a couple good action scenes. This probably like the big one where he, like the wolf in the beginning, where he kind of gets his.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty good. But like killer. So the past 4 episodes have been like straight on that scale, like just nonstop. It's just I think it's really, really good. What's
interesting about it is it's so hyper specific. It's like
that's what I was telling you.
It's weird with anime sometimes. Like, okay, that thing where X is Y, and you know what I mean? Like, you have to explain it to someone. It's like, okay, well, this is it would be. I'm butchering this. It's like telling someone, okay, this is an anime about a guy obsessed with RPGs.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but it's not exactly that. Because it's a guy obsessed with the worst RPGs that plays them in spite of them being bad. But it's because he's such an avid... You know what I mean? It's like, that gamer exists. Sure, there's plenty of them. Yep. But it's like, it's just so many, like... like
a layer on a layer.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just weird. Like, having to explain an RPG to someone who doesn't game is enough work to begin with. And now it's like, you want to go, like... 7 layers deeper. It's just so like, again, I keep saying, like, it's just so specific, and I think that's why I like it, because you got to appreciate sometimes when an anime is unapologetic. Like, it is very clearly its own thing. It is not, I'm sure it's probably mainstream, or when I say mainstream, I mean I'm sure it probably has broad appeal among anime watchers.
I see nothing about it online.
Okay.
Yeah,
I assumed it was successful, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's doing. I was reading today. It is doing big numbers in Japan right now. So,
but isn't it funny? Like, my point was gonna be like, I assume it's successful, but I just appreciate that, like, they probably could have cast a wider net if it were just a more generic VR anime. But it's like, no, that's not what they want to do. Like, it's very specific. I don't know. But I love that they're, like, kind of up their own ass about it, and, like, very... Like, they're just telling the story that they want to tell.
They're literally talking to one group of people.
Yeah.
And, like, whoever else is along for the ride, enjoy it. But, like, they are talking to a very... So, I guess, okay...
It's like they targeted Twitch streamers only. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just hardcore mechanics gamers, Like, there's a joke... I think... Oh no, maybe it was real. But there was just like a joke of like, oh, like I'm gonna skip this, like like I don't need the lore, like I want to.
He skipped the starter town, dude.
He skipped the start. That was that's one of the jokes. They kind of hit that a second time later, but he skips the starter town. Everyone's looking for him. They can't find him because he's We've all done that. You're not supposed to be in this area,
And of course, like the romantic interest, which so far like hasn't been cringe or fan servicey.
No, it doesn't. It's silly like that. Like that happens over.
That's
and over.
fine, dude.
Yeah,
it's charming. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's cute without being fucking perverted.
Yeah.
Like it worked. But the funny part is like, of course she's like fucking level 90. You know what I mean? It's like, of course. Appreciate that. Yeah. Anyway, it's a good one, man. I think I'll be caught up. Not before too long. I'm away next week, and I think I'm just gonna, watch it on flights and shit. And yeah, it's great to have a show that I can just like flick on. Like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, this is good. I just my biggest takeaway is I cannot get over how gorgeous it looks. Like the little just the little things, like the towns, the characters, the talk, like you see that a lot in anime, even like the shows that we love, like even like kind of like what we deem the upper echelon. Like there, you see like the shortcuts being made, and I feel like I've never seen those obvious shortcuts in this show. Like they show the conversations being had. They don't have like you see the backs of them. There's the voices, VA still playing over it. Then it cuts to them. Then they jump into the audio. Like none of that. It just shows everything. Like it's very fluid. In that way. But
great world building. It's crazy. We're becoming a fucking fantasy podcast. Frieren, solo leveling.
Yeah, dude.
Shangri-La. It's having Moshuko is gonna be like this summer, right?
April. No, a month or two. Yeah.
Spoiled. I'm down with it, dude.
Yeah, boy.
What else have you been watching?
Frieren, obviously.
Nothing like not a crazy episode. I don't
nothing
think.
Crazy. Calm Before the Storm. That's definitely what this is. Yeah.
Yeah, because it changes everything. If you were in fact correct, which I'm assuming you were, about it being 28 episodes rather than 23.
It has to be.
So if that's accurate, then I think we should probably adjust our expectations to be. We'll probably get through all 3 challenges. Well, maybe not. This challenge was like fucking 4 episodes, right? So maybe not. It'll be tight.
It's gonna be like Triwars Tournament. They cut it out early. Something bad happens.
Yeah.
Best stuff.
Yo, you know what I can't help myself. I have to say this. I'm pretty sure David Yates took over the Harry Potter movies around book 4, and I really think some of those decisions that he made, especially in the Triwizard Tournament, like Harry returning with Cedric Diggory's body to a band playing a full like fucking mariachi sequence. It wasn't mariachi, but
big band. Yeah.
That's got to be one of the dumbest fucking decisions anyone's ever made on a film. It's like, what the fuck were you thinking? It's just like, I get it. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get what he was going for. Like, yes,
Sure.
There would be confusion in this moment. And in the books, there was confusion. Like, Harry arrives with the corpse of a fellow competitor. But it's like, he'd just been through this, like, harrowing, traumatic ordeal. The character is supposed to be, like in tears, in shock, not wanting to let go of, like, a body. Like, it's supposed to be this pretty real moment. And he just witnessed some pretty horrific shit. Not to mention, like, the literal ghosts of his parents embodied. Sure. You know what I mean? To go from that to, like, like, get it, guys? It's like, what are you... You're going for an easy laugh now? I revisit those movies because they had such an impact on my childhood. Mostly the books. You know this. Everybody knows this. But it's like, everybody. But
the listeners.
I just... What were you thinking?
Yeah. Well, that's the one, too. Like, it's my least favorite book in the series. And... it's the movie I've only read or watched the one time. So like all like the little details they got wrong. One of your favorite?
One of my favorite books. I just because I think, and I'm not here to belabor that or argue that because I think I think one thing that is great about those books is I think you can make a pretty good case for any of them. I think one of the best things that I know it's not popular to give her praise these days, but I think one of the really strong things about those books is that like she kind of tackles a new genre with every book in her own Harry Potter way.
Sure.
Harry Potter, like 4, Goblet of Fire is like kind of her take. It's as close as you're gonna get as a PG noir can really get. There's murder, there's mystery, there's writing on the walls.
Prisoner of Azkaban, I think, did it first though.
Yeah, but the Barty Crouch stuff, man. The stuff, the clues she leaves in book 4, huh?
Probably my biggest takeaway is like David Tennant as Barty Crouch, like do that, father,
like how,
like when they're in the court or whatever.
I mean, who is was it Richard Gambon, the new Dumbledore?
Yeah, Richard Gambon. Yeah.
We have these truly legendary actors, and David Tennant, Richard Gambon, and David Yates directing them, making them look like fucking idiots. Like what? I wonder what his direction was. There's
been a lot of like, I have noticed people kind of like flipped on Richard Gambon. Like he's said some pretty dumb things the past couple of years of like,
just
I didn't give a fuck.
The person?
Yeah, I just like the role. Like he's like, I don't care if people didn't like that. He's like, I don't care if it's different from the books. Like he's being a little old manish about it, which is weird. Oh, it's like him and Brian Cox recently have just been kind of like looking back on their career saying "fuck you" to all the decisions that were made, and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. It's fucking.
It's just so interesting because like I feel like the word about or the discussion just about directors in general is really interesting right now. Like the immediate counterpoint I have to this is, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, so we don't have to again, but like is Greta Gerwig in Barbie. It's like you took something that could and maybe should have been shitty. Like, let's just be real, right?
Sure.
Like, remember, like, before we knew who was starring and directing and all that shit, like, when people said, oh, do you hear there's going to be a Barbie movie? Like, you got to be honest. 99 reactions were like, yeah, can't wait. Like, who's taking that seriously? Mm-hmm. But like you put it in the helm or somebody at the helm of it who's like fucking competent, and you can really subvert expectations, and it's just like, god damn, David Yates. Anyway, just very personally affronted by what he did to those movies. Okay, man, Bobby segues today. Speaking of directors, check this one out.
Get it.
So I think I DM'd you this, but rumors currently circulating about Tom Cruise joining Tarantino's final film called The Film Critic, which is also rumored to, what they say, starring Brad Pitt. I don't quite know what that means because I think he was eyeing somebody else. Like, it's about a specific film critic, I think, from the 70s.
I believe so, yeah.
And I think he has someone in mind, but maybe starring Brad Pitt in, like, maybe Brad Pitt is a star who gets a bad review from this critic. I don't know.
I found it interesting when Quentin announced this is like officially what he was doing.
Yeah.
The first words that came out of his mouth were Sean Penn. So I'm wondering if like Sean Penn's going to be like kind of the pseudo lead, and Brad Pitt kind of repeating what he did on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Kind of just being like that. Oh yeah, like he's like the support, but he's like kind of the co-lead for a third of the movie, or you know, the lead for a third of the movie. But Tom Cruise though, holy shit!
Oh my god,
like, we're talking like I just. You know, I know people goof on him, and I know he's said some dumb things, and he's a part of a cult. It's a fucking fact, but like, the man can fucking act, but he doesn't act anymore. Like, this could be one of the biggest treats.
You don't. We just Tarantino has this kind of famous rant on you don't really have stars anymore, right? And he's not that wrong. You know, you have to listen to him in full context, right?
Sure.
He talks about how people don't go to see Robert Downey Jr. It's Iron Man they're going to see, right? Sure. And to take that example, it was really like Robert Downey Jr. had more money than God at the end of that franchise. Could do what he want, but like, what does he do? He says, "No, fuck it. I'm going to go to a critically acclaimed director and do a character piece, completely different, all but has the Oscar secured at this point." It's like Tom Cruise, like, probably also has more money than God and like doesn't have to work with like a critically acclaimed director because he's at the level where he's literally now making personal deals with studios.
Yeah. He's the one running the
so he's not beholden to anyone. So it'd be like, it's, you know, him, like, can you, like, I've heard pretty interesting stories about like the Tarantino sets and how he runs those. It's like, can you imagine Tom Cruise showing up to work on like that? In my mind doesn't go well, but it's like, please just do it because we need this now. Because
I can say
know what I mean?
you want about Tom, but I think he has proven time and time again, regardless of the genre and the type of film he is making, he takes movie making very seriously. I think that's where
true love of movies.
I think that's where him and Tarantino would like 100% mesh, and I think that's what could make that partnership or that that movie making friendship a gem.
It's a synergy you want to see. Like, don't
Leo's supposed to be in the critic too.
Fucking all-star. It's like it's his last one. He's assembling his all-star cast plus one legend of his era that he hasn't had.
Yeah.
Don't you want to hear like, and also sure, like give Cruise some stunts if he wants. If that's like in his contract where he has to like attempt to break his own leg in every movie, fine. But like, don't you want to hear Tarantino dialogue coming out of Cruise's mouth actually acting? It's like, because
correction, Leo is supposed to be the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's but you know what I mean? It's just like, because we've talked about Tom Cruise getting older, and it's like all the head trauma. It's like you just don't know how much time he's got left for this kind of thing.
I'm gonna find that clip, dude. I'm going to find it. If I have to contact Cineplex to be like, I need your adverts from the Maverick run because he was not good, dude.
Yeah, but it's just not. It's just not all that surprising. Head trauma scares the hell out of me, man.
Yeah, man.
It's I saw a pretty good comic, and you might have sent me this little bit. I'm gonna butcher it. So this is not my bit, but the bit was, I think the Taylor Swift NFL partnership is genius. You know, from a marketing perspective, you've seen some of the stats, market research firms. It's like she's created hundreds of millions of dollars worth of marketing value just by bringing new eyes to the NFL, because Swifties are watching the games just to see her.
They broke the record.
Swifties probably have children, right? It'll send more people to the NFL. What'll that do? More head trauma, more Swift fans.
Brutal.
To be fair, I actually polished that a little bit. But, yeah, kind of funny. Dude.
I will say, I was getting, like, I understand the Taylor Swift thing, and, like, I'm not going to get into the conspiracy, but I was watching the game with Leanna and Corinne. Corinne's like, oh, we're going to see Taylor Swift. I'm like, oh yeah. Come watch football with me. This is nice.
Yeah.
Showing her how the game works and all that. It was a nice moment. And she was like, yeah, like, it would, like, cut to, Taylor Swift. It would just be like, it would be like, come and gone. And she was like, then, like, halftime show the two of them peace. I'm like, all right, see you guys later. But
yeah,
it's I don't know. It was a little too much, I found, especially in the second half of the game. It was like, come on, like, every time he made contact with anything, it would cut to her.
It's transparent, but you also understand it. It's like it's interesting, just the value she brings anywhere she goes. I mean, I get that she's a lightning rod, controversial and all that, but it's like, God, she is.
I don't think she's that controversial. I think.
Well, I say controversial. I mean, people poo-pooing her because she's like the big thing, right? Yeah. NFL fans being angry about it.
It was hilarious seeing Roger Goodell freaking kissing the ring, though. The photos of him up in her box.
Oh yeah,
going to meet her.
Of course.
Bitch ass.
Oh, you know what? We're on the NFL.
Taylor Swift.
We're on the NFL. I don't think this was technically released during the Super Bowl, or maybe it was, online. But the Deadpool 3 trailer.
I did look away from that one. I was leaving it.
Man.
Yeah.
You're going Zero Dark Rant on that?
100%. I am super. I love those movies. Are great. I want the jokes to be new and fresh to me.
Okay, so I don't blame you whatsoever for that. I will say, with no spoilers whatsoever for you or the audience, like, I think the big question was, like, how do they, like, is it still Deadpool? Is it still rated R under Disney?
Yeah.
And I think, based off the trailer, the answer is yes. In that, like, they have maintained, it's hard to say, like, if they had 100% creative control, which I'm sure not even they did, but they probably had a lot. How much of that did they retain? Who knows? I'm really interested, just because, like, you and I think a lot of people, frankly, are probably pretty out of the loop of the current whatever phase we're in on the MCU side, and this technically has to tie into that. So it's like, I wonder how much of this movie were they like, it's like, hey, you gotta make sure this connects to fucking this one, and this one, right? Like, I'm curious about that, because I could already see a couple things like, oh, right, like, they gotta do this. Or they have to, they have to make note of, like, certain things, just because they're in the MCU now, which is very interesting. But the language, the jokes, it's like, oh, okay, so it is still Deadpool.
I think in a because when this was announced and like the like the big question, like you said, like is it going to be rated R, da da da, but that was when that was announced and a lot of the filming started. We were still we were in the weeds still of like the Disney Plus stuff and like post Avengers. And I think now, full circle, I think it's going to be very advantageous for them for this to be itself. Yeah. And kind of, I think it might actually like help fix. This is like brand manager talk, but I think it might help the brand a little bit.
No, I agree.
I did see on Reddit. I think it was on like it was like you go on Reddit. It was like posted 10 different times, each with like like 1,000 comments on them. Everyone seems convinced they're gonna make a fucking Jonathan Majors joke in the movie, and I'm like, there's no way they're gonna touch that. Like that's still like litigation is still like at play right now. They're not gonna come swinging for him, but everyone seems like they're gonna throw a couple punches at Jonathan Majors.
Maybe it wouldn't be crazy because I could see maybe a Kang joke. Like, don't mention Jonathan Majors by name, but
I think it's more or less
take a dig at Kang. Like that's you never know.
Yeah,
I'd be down with it. I don't know. I have specific thoughts because of what I saw in the trailer, but I will leave those out. But I bet there's definitely a significant portion of people in mine and your category in that it will probably be my first movie back since the end of the Infinity Saga phase, which technically ended with No Way Home.
Did Doctor Strange come out after?
Oh shit. My bad. Completely forgot about Doctor Strange. I did see that.
I like that. For what it was.
No, that's fine. I saw that in theaters. So, yeah. So, in this phase, I've seen one movie in theaters, and this will be the next.
TV shows. Yeah,
maybe. I
will say,
you think
I've heard quite a few people, like, really talk up Echo to me the other day, and I was like, I'm not going to, but I appreciate your insight.
Yeah, same. It's like, it's like, you can... I've heard Loki Season 2 is better in every way than season 1, and it's like the best thing they've put out, and it's just like I'm not fucking doing it. Like I'm just not.
It was no parties involved. Like it was no one's fault. It was just as I was watching it, I felt so much of the slog.
Yeah,
just there. It's just there. Like whether you want it or not. Like people can agree with me.
Leave me alone.
To me, it felt like it. But no, freaking feels like every fucking family meal I go to. It's like. I was like, to get around to Echo yet? You talking about that on the podcast? I'm like, no, I'm not actually. I haven't and I won't.
Oh, dude. I thought you meant watching Loki feels like a family meal. And I was like, that's hilarious. And I was like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, wow.
Not bad. Fuck, that's funny. All right, no, I'm going to move on. Okay. Yo, Bobby Segways. Last one out of me. Speaking of things that feel like slogs. True Detective Season 4 has one episode to try and salvage a plane in the air with no engines.
Episode 5 had huge numbers. Did you see that?
No, the penultimate that aired.
Yeah.
Because they put it out. Because they put it out a day early for the ahead of the release, right? Or ahead of the Super Bowl. Yeah. Good ending to the penultimate episode, but
still don't feel it, eh?
No, and it's difficult, right? Like the entire dedicated subreddit is just become it has just, which like you could make a pretty easy argument for is like that's obviously going to be like an echo chamber for the most passionate, arguably critical fans of the series. So like it's maybe not super shocking that like the entire thing is just dunking on the entire series and how stupid it is right now. But I think like if I could give it to you in a nutshell, I think the mystery and plot of the show is actually decent. Like it's legit interesting, and I don't quite know what the answer is. I have a couple theories on like what who the bad guy is, kind of a thing.
Okay.
But like the ones that I've got are pretty low hanging fruit and pretty stupid. So I'm hoping that that's not the case. While you simultaneously hope that like it's not something so far fetched just because you got to thread the needle, right? That this is always the problem with any good mystery. It's like how do you subvert the expectations of the audience in that it's a surprise that you didn't see coming, but also has enough breadcrumbs that it's not crazy.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to do. And like, you know, expecting perfection is like you're just preparing yourself for disappointment, which again is, I think, like another reason why just calling it True Detective when it has no relation to the creator is like maybe just a little questionable, even especially when you consider that the creator of the show couldn't live up to the first season. It's just tough, man.
Yeah.
They have a lot running against them. So there's that. So the actual plot, I think, is decent. I think the cinematography and soundtrack are also decent. All three of those things I would consider above average. Like when you think about the number of crime shows that are on TV, like the amount of them that come out per year, we just don't watch a lot of them, right?
Well, yeah, that's like major network TV. We're
exactly.
Not
like
not, yeah.
We're not there, and like so this is probably a cut above a lot of them. I'm going to guess.
But do you feel like it's in that camp, but on HBO, or do you feel like it comes from like the True Detectives or the Wire? Like, does it feel like it has that prestige status?
This is the problem. That's like the best question. This is the best question you could have asked, because it feels like it's in the former, like it's in the camp of like this is probably just better than average network television that happens to be on HBO. Like really good network television, because
and network television can be fucking good.
Or it's like it's an HBO quality series that probably won't be remembered as one of their bigger hits. Like,
does it feel like a Thursday night show airing on a Sunday night?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hit or miss. I think, okay, what I've tried to distill it down to is I think the show's doing 50% plot, sometimes 40% plot, and 60% character. And some of the character stuff works so little that at times I'm wondering, like, is it a miscast? Like, when you're sitting there trying to figure out what the fuck is bothering me about this scene, and it's everything, like, that's a bad sign. You know what I mean? It's like, is it the chemistry between Jodie Foster and the other girl? Is it that neither of them are doing their best work? Is it that the dialogue is so clunky that no one could do a good job? It's like, we talked about, like, The Bear season 2 and some of these forced character moments, and you feel it when they're forced. There's minimum 2 or 3 of these per episode. And it's like, what about the mystery, though? You know what I mean? Like, there's just, I don't know. Like, it's probably a 7, but, like, you know, there are elements of it that are like, oh, this is an 8. Like, the plot might be an 8. Cinematography, the night country theme, I've said this over and over again, is, like, fucking good. Like, some of the cinema, like, I wonder if they actually shot in Alaska, because I think, like, they did...
Probably did Alberta.
Yeah, I don't know, but like part of the thing is like, you know, it involves contact a lot of an indigenous community, and I remember reading that a lot of the actors and a lot of that stuff is like authentic. So I was like, oh, maybe they did go, because it's supposed to be set in Alaska. So I was like, fuck, maybe they did, because some of the shots they're getting are like, good God, it's just absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, like some of it is just like, okay, dude, come on, like. I don't know. I just find myself rolling my eyes a lot, and it's tough.
Really?
Wow. Or just being like, sitting there being like, I want to like this, but I'm just not. I don't know. It's hard to get out of your own head, and I'll say it again and again. Like, I think they should just probably ditch the name.
You know what's funny?
And so should Nick Pizzolatto come. If in some weird turn of events, this does so bad that HBO's like, okay, we'll bring you back, even though you're a dick. Even if that happens, he should ditch the name. Even he can't escape the name. You know what I mean?
Again, I liked season 2. Season 3 was pretty good. But, like...
Yeah.
Chasing after that dragon was, like, the biggest mistake they ever made, I feel like. But,
yeah.
I will say, I really... You know what? I really like Mahershala Ali and his performance in season... Like, especially, like, the dementia stuff in season 3 was really good.
That's probably underrated. Yeah. I think season 2 is probably good, but it was the probably unfairly compared to season 1, right? And if we had known, like, in hindsight, it's like, yeah, of course it wasn't better than season 1. Like, of course. So
it
like,
wasn't just lightning in a bottle. That was like a storm in a bottle. Like,
I think that probably deserves, honestly, that season 2 and 3 probably deserve a rewatch, because I remember really digging Mahershala.
Yeah.
In season 3, and then like I was a little disappointed with season 2, but it was like, in retrospect, won't most people be disappointed with season 2 if they're looking for...
It did go a little off the rails, but I remember early days of that. Of like, I thought Vince Vaughn was great. The whole like kind of low level mob, like clearly like a player, but like not like a, like a huge like like there's bigger criminal outfits out there. I thought that was really fascinating.
I agree, because in so many mob storylines and so many shows like that, it's like, oh, this guy runs the whole city, and it's like Vince Vaughn's just trying to get out of a fucking club, you know what I mean?
Or casino. He has a casino. He runs a casino. Yeah.
Colin Farrell was good.
Yeah. Richard McAdams is great too.
Agreed. They all went a little outside their...
Taylor Kitsch was good.
Yeah, you know what? Vince Vaughn might have been the weaker of the 4.
Yeah, well, it was just like a separate plot line, right? Like it was like story A, and then story C, and there was like no real middle one, and then they kind of touched and breached, but like it wasn't much. But
they probably could have polished that up a little bit. Did you see? Last thing on this, just because I forgot that you like season 2. Did you see that there was a subreddit for True Detective, and like there were a couple people that had some pretty interesting and gnarly theories about what season 2 was really about. Okay. That just like were handled pretty poorly in the development of the show, and that it's all kind of a... I can't remember what the fan theory was, but the fan theory, it was along the lines, and stick with me because I'm butchering it, and I'm doing this off of like 6 years ago memory.
Don't worry, I'm on the road.
But it was something about like, a fan theory was like, I think this is the story about 4 people who are like trapped in hell, and they have to like it's all a metaphor for like they have to conquer some of their demons, and they all have these individual battles, and some of them are linked and some of them are not. But it's all a metaphor or a retelling of like this biblical story. Okay. And it got like pretty good acclaim on Reddit, which means nothing. And then like 2 years ago, or like 3, Nick Pizzolatto in an Instagram post was like, someday I'll write a whole essay about how this story is really about these people trapped in hell, but that's for another time. And he kind of confirms this major fan theory that like had been really underserved, and because season 2 never really got the critical acclaim, and maybe if people had loved it, he may have opened up and talked about it more, but like you could tell he was like he's kind of just like, okay, here's a breadcrumb, like. But it kind of, I'll see if I can dig up that post.
A rewatch with that fresh information.
Yeah, I'll see if I can dig up the post and the post of him acknowledging it, because pretty interesting. And Mahershala in season 3 was just fucking bonkers.
So one last thing on True Detective, I think you'll find this funny, and this is kind of a bit of a callback for us. So I did attempt to watch the first episode last week
of season 4,
Night Country. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
When I went in through like H or like Crave, like just like searching through the app, I typed in True Detective and Tokyo Vice came up, and I was oh shit, I rewatched the pilot of Tokyo Vice instead of Night Country.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. And I'm probably gonna finish Tokyo Vice like fresh eyes. I thought, again, like what's his name there? The guy we wish was Miles Teller.
Yeah, Don't count on me remembering his name.
Is it not Alden Ehrenreich? He's the other
I
guy.
don't care.
Anyways,
what about him?
Like he's still bad. Like I think it's awful. Like I don't enjoy his face on any screen, but like everything else, like the real like the Japan side of things,
I don't care.
Like just they have such a stacked cast, and like just the the newsroom stuff, outside of him and all that. It's getting a second season that's coming soon.
It's funny.
Apparently, season 1 was fucking awesome, and it's like,
it's funny though because we were of the same mind. I love pieces of that show. Pieces. Yes. Yeah. I just want to cut him out of it. But I heard about season 2 as well, and I saw they're doing like season 1 recaps on YouTube, and I was like, fuck man, should I just watch the recap and like hope season 2 is better? But I don't know. Maybe I'll wait for you to report back on how season 1 wraps up, and maybe I'll give it another go.
I'll never forget. I was watching the second episode, and Leanna came in to the living room, and she watched. There was a scene, a dinner scene between him and the other American girl. It's like they're working as a hostess or whatever.
Yeah.
And watching them talk back and forth, and it was just like, you know, like Harvard or Princeton talk, like just like wordy for like the sense of wordiness, and like,
Yeah.
you know, young people talking like they know that it was a very ridiculous scene. And Leanna walked in, watched the whole scene, stood up. She goes, "That was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen." I just like got up, walked out, didn't like stick around for like a laugh or whatever, like just gone.
Fuck,
like left.
Fuck you and your stupid
What
show, dude.
Two errands. And I'm like, holy shit, that's so out of character.
You know how bad a show
was
has
bad.
to be for someone to leave the house?
You know, I'd rather go do groceries.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a spin. Like, we have a weird, I currently have an oddly heavy live action rotation right now because, well, True Detective, one episode left. I'm sunk cost fallacy. I gotta watch it. But I'm that and Masters of the Air, and we were trying to rotate The Wire in, right? But with these two on weekly, Wire's been on pause.
That's a lot of heavy.
So I think we'll wrap up Night Country. That'll open up a slot elsewhere, maybe The Wire, and then Masters of the Air. You know, we'll watch just once weekly. But was there anything else? I don't think so.
Well, we're just watching Criminal Record for.
Oh yeah, because you found that. Well,
and that's I'm not even sure when that ends. I'm not sure if it's like an 8 or 10 run.
And we're on 7 airs tomorrow. And we're on Apple TV, the sub for Apple TV, because Masters of the Air, and there's all this other shit on there.
Silo, dude.
You've mentioned that. I think Silo's probably the next move, like for live action. So I got
there's one coming out. Early reviews on it has is it Nomi Rapace is in it, but that's also getting a lot of huge buzz. A lot of people involved from Silo and Severance, I believe.
Oh, really?
So I wish I had the name.
And you know, the only other live action thing, and we haven't watched it. I think we're 3 or 4 episodes in, but we have been poking at the Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I watched the second episode, yeah.
Okay, so I'm probably past you then. So I think I'm 3 in, maybe 4.
Yeah, how are you liking it?
Good,
Still the same?
Yeah. Like, no spoiler. I'm just trying to think. No, it's good. It's progressing like smoothly. I am intrigued. It's a great like dinner show. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna probably keep watching that. I just got to get one of these other things off my plate.
I found it interesting. There was a very because we were talking about the pilot, how it felt very Atlanta, and how like there's that whole thing where maybe we did talk about it, maybe I just read it, but like did we talk about the whole Phoebe, is it Waller-Bridge?
Yeah.
Her involvement?
So we talked about on the pod. I think we talked about the fact that they were in it together, and then she exited, and then
she kind of got pushed out a little bit
offline. You said after that, you sent me the article, but we didn't talk about the article.
Okay, so yeah, I guess like to sum it up was they were together. He brought on writers and team from Atlanta, and then the writers' room. They quoted that like she wasn't familiar with how American writing rooms work.
He said,
and like it was like a weird environment. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyways, like I'm sure she knows. Like she's a very talented writer. Like I think she knows how that shit works. But but anyway, so she left, and then the show. Anyway, so you watch the pilot, you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense because it feels very much like Atlanta. And there's that scene in the second episode where they're trying. John Turturro is like the target, and they're trying to drug him the truth serum.
By the way, the moment I saw John Turturro, I was like, Grant's gonna love this.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And like again, like he crushes like in everything he does. Like he definitely played like a weirder version.
Yeah.
A little, but I think that was the scene, and I think that was like them like really actually like striking the Atlanta iron. But I think they tried to it was two tones to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Like I did like the scene like again, it was meant to be a very awkward and like kind of silly scene and over the top, but like. It was just like they had like switched the lens, like, oh, we're shooting Atlanta, and it didn't fully work. I
agree with that.
You could see them trying to do that, but it's not, And then it goes back to normal stuff. Like, oh, this also feels like Atlanta, but this feels more kind of natural. But
getting rid of the body, like it's that
was fucking gross.
Well, the whole sequence was just a little weird because your point, like it was a little Atlanta-y in that like they were playing on how surreal the situation is.
Yes.
Right? But you are also trained killers. You are also people that have killed... You know what I mean? It's like, Which one are you? Are you freaked out and like uncomfortable and like forgetting that you're a professional assassin here, or like what? Yeah,
I think the point is
they
like,
struggled
not
with
that
tone.
Professional tone. I think
Yeah,
they came in swinging with the tones they wanted, I believe, and it did originally. It hit, but I think they grounded it too quickly.
yeah,
And then it kind of became like a slapstick where in Atlanta they would say, no, we're going to hold your attention for 30 minutes on the absurdity of this. And then, you realize you're out of it. Like, it becomes clear when you're outside of it. You're just like, whoa. And you think back on it. That was where that show really succeeded and crushed, like you rolled with it till it truly ended. This felt kind of ripped out.
They continue to make interesting momentum choices.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got several more episodes to go. So I'm interested to see where it ends. Okay, I think I'm good, homie. I think this was
I got one little thing. I just think it'd be the fan or listeners would really enjoy this. So it came out today. I'm not sure if all 4 parts are out, but Crunchyroll and a studio in France called Delta Rocket made a almost over an hour documentary on the 25 years of Studio Bones, with interviews from Full Metal Brotherhood cast, Mob Psycho, or production people from Mob Psycho and Full Metal and My Hero, and like I don't know. Apparently, we don't really get this kind of stuff, right? Like it's
that's awesome.
And in depth, and I haven't watched it yet. It came out today, so anyone listening tomorrow, it's out. Like I said, I don't know if it's all 4 parts or if it's just the first one, but we're huge fans of a lot of the stuff they've done. So
is it just called like Studio Bones documentary, or what is it called?
It is called. It has a silly name. It's Studio Bones 25 years like.
Okay, but if you look up Studio Bones on Crunchyroll.
Before we hopped on mic, I went to it was on the splash page of Crunchyroll.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all the shows you just mentioned are like all-timers. Yeah. It's very easy to forget sometimes when you think about a studio just as like this apparatus, this big thing. You forget like the stuff in their repertoire. Studio Bones has done so much good shit.
Yeah.
Especially
it shaped our see, now it's not on the splash page. What the fuck?
It's all good.
But but check that out. Like it's like I said, documentaries. We don't get that kind of thing. So
should we say, homie?
Where is it? Yeah. Okay. Bones 25, Dreaming Forward.
Bones 25, Dreaming Forward. All right, I'll put it on the old.
First 2 episodes are up.
Perfect. All right, how long are they each?
25 minutes.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah, there's going to be 4 in total. I read.
Killer.
Yep.
That's great, Rack.
Yeah.
Watch it on a plane.
Yeah, boy.
All right, homies. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. Check out our TikTok, Instagram. Amazing, I didn't plug those already. At Part-Time Otaku Podcast. Follow us there. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever else you listen to podcasts. Do the appropriate social media thing on the appropriate social media platform. We may or may not be back next week. I'm gone. Grant may or may not do a solo episode. But either way, we'll be back in short order. So as long as you're subscribed, you won't miss anything. Okay? So do that. And we'll see you next week. Grant, you may go ahead and say the thing.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.